Let's see what this is done now. Oh, here we go. So that's finished calculating now. So, but why don't we, okay, so let's have a look at these numbers if you want to go through these numbers first. And then what I want to ask then is, what kind of volume are we getting in token amount daily, if you guys might happen to know that on hand, and then using that as an estimation for what it might be in the future?
All right, so in token value, I am not currently sure because most of the volumes are measured in dollar value instead of the token value. And here in the calculator, you're also inputting token, not token value, but dollar value. But not easy numbers to use for reference is, for example, at current price points, when we add up all the pools, we are getting around 600, 700,000 of volume daily, but mostly because of trading rewards. However, when we were at 2 cents, we had volume of around 2 million a day. So you could technically multiply the 2 million by 50 and estimate if we have the same interest in trading, the volume is going to be around 100 million a day. Because at 2 cents, it was around 2 million. So multiply 2 by 50 and you get around 100.
Okay, so one thing about this, so we got the burn contribution reward. So what is that number referring to as opposed to the Vibe Pass owner share?
So this was the last model that we made, was your burn contribution rewards essentially is your burns that are paying out your shares. So the more you burn, the higher your share will be. However, it's non-linear, and I'm sure we will discuss that later. I will explain all the whys. And yeah, so this is the part that comes directly from your burns. And the other part that we are questioning whether we should keep, and we will probably drop that down for community votes, is whether owning a bypass should entitle you for a share of the afterpeg rewards or not. In the current calculator model, we have that as owning a bypass grants you a small share. At the moment, I think I have 70% that is spread among burn contributions and 30% that is spread among bypass owners. I would like to ask this question to a community to decide whether we should keep the bypass owner shares or not. But at the moment, it is like that: 70% spread among the burns and 30% spread among the bypass holders.
Okay, so again, just to be clear, so basically, these rewards are only going to apply to, for example, if those rewards are happening now, it would only happen to only this percentage of the people are actually getting those rewards
Correct.
if you hold the Vibe
Correct.
Pass. Okay,
It
sure.
would be spread among 64 people. That's why also you have to input that into the calculator.
Yeah, so let's actually have a look at what that is now. So daily volume. Let's just take a guess. So I mean, if it's 8, so the daily volume would be calculated on the total daily volume, or only the ones that are being done by the Vibe Pass holders?
Total daily volume.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. So if it's like 120 million, how many weeks has it been out for? Like 18 weeks or something like this? Is that correct?
Yes, approximately.
So yeah, I'll just quickly do the math on that. 120 million divided by shit, hang on a second. So 18 times 7. So 120 million divided by 126. So this is just based on initial. Oh, that's nice and easy. So yeah, a million volume a day, basically. So enter the percentage of the reward pool you expect to hold. So I think probably maybe 2% is a reasonable amount if there's 64% of the holders. So you would be doing, I suppose, a decent amount of the trading. Let's see what this calculates now. So so that's really cool. So it's your, and then obviously this is the alpha behind getting the Vibe Pass early, because the more that you're contributing to this now, the more that you're going to be getting the rewards at a later stage, because you're increasing your percentage now. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And also, we should keep in mind about the current relatively low price of the token. So you're actually able to burn way more tokens for way smaller price at the moment. So those are all benefits that are being available for those that are early and are engaging with the token when its value is low.
Wow. I mean, look at this. So this is with 64 holders. So maybe maybe don't buy your Vibe Pass. That's $200 of daily rewards for just 2%. 2%. That's that's pretty crazy. So obviously, as the number of Vibe Pass holders goes up, your percentage is probably also going to go down. So the earlier you get in, the better it is going to be for you. So wow. Okay. And then that's obviously going to happen when it gets to the point of the peg where it's going to oscillate around the $1 mark. So when it goes above, it's going to be burned. Is that correct? Or is it, it's the other way around, right? When it goes above, it's going to be minted, and then below, it's going to be burned. Is that correct?
Exactly. That's correct. I mean, in both scenarios, we're going to burn some, but while it's overpeg, we will remint some of the burns to distribute among the bypass holders.
Okay. So yeah, let's keep going on this. So let's just say realistically, let's double this number just out of curiosity. So as the number goes up, then your percentage is also probably going to go down. So let's do like a 1% just to see. We'll keep the same kind of a volume. Let's just see. And then obviously here you can actually, we use this. So this was the new purchase result. So if this was purchasing 1 million, you would end up getting this much this much of the reward pool. So that's, I mean, that's quite substantial. So let's see what this does now. So just to kind of give a rough idea of the different kinds of numbers that can occur with this. I love this as well. The brr. Money printer. Nice. Okay. So still, that's really, really decent. Well, I mean, I guess it's fairly obvious it was going to be half, basically, almost. So I guess I'm still a little bit confused about this, the difference between these two numbers, though. So the burn contribution reward and then the Vibe Pass owner share. So you were kind of explaining that it wasn't really connecting in my brain. How, I guess, is there any kind of different way of explaining it, or maybe trying again, or is it really important
I'll
to
try.
understand that? Okay.
So first of all, your assumption that it would be double less might not necessarily always hold because the model itself is nonlinear. So for example, when you're switching between 2 and 1%, it might look like it's rather half. But if you would put, let's say, 1 and 10, you would not have 10 times of a difference because we are trying to make sure that rewards are spread as evenly as possible towards contributors, and we try to protect the rewards pool from someone hoarding most of it as well. Like, for example, people that are spamming bots to do burns, we want to make sure that they still, if they have the most burns, they still will have the most tokens rewarded to them. However, it will not be most of the total rewards of the pool, and these rewards are spread rather evenly among holders, and we do this by ranking their contributions. However, getting back to the question that you asked, what those two different numbers mean, let me try to explain it better. So your burn contribution rewards is your burn shares that are working for you. So the more you burn, the more rewards you get, and this is the share that calculates that. While the bypass owner share is the amount of XUSD that is being given to you just for owning and holding the bypass without taking your burns into account. So while to have both, you need to own a bypass. One gets you the shares just by holding the bypass, and the other requires you to contribute with burns, and that will most certainly be the higher value that you get.
Got you. Okay, I understand. Okay, so basically, one of them is literally just a contribution for the very sake of having a Vibe Pass, and the other one is the contributions based on how much you're actually burning.
Yes, and obviously, because in order to get the burn contributions, you need to burn tokens. you need to make efforts. So the share of this pool is way bigger than for the sake of owning a bypass.
Makes sense. Perfect. Makes perfect sense. So I guess maybe now I'd like to just quickly show people. I'll keep this vibe page open as well, just the trading section as well, because at the moment you're getting rewarded for it as well. But I think it's a really interesting dynamic, because when you talk about percentages and okay, this is 1%, and you're accumulating this 1% now, and over time, the more that you do it, the earlier you get in, that 1% in the future might be 1.1%, or maybe it might end up being 1.5% because you've had that sort of early starter advantage.
Yes, I can at least try to explain it in a language that people would understand. So essentially, the first graph is a comparison between two different reward models. One of the reward models that is the most popular between protocols in general is the linear model. So that's marked in the blue line, blue dashes. Which would mean essentially that the more you burn, the more you get, and there is no control over the upper cap. So for example, if you have a user that burned 90% of the tokens, he would get 90% of the rewards and leave the rest of the users with the remaining 10%. Now, while this sounds like, sure, if you did the most work, you deserve to have the best, it does not align with the mentality that everyone should be allowed to profit in such a system, because it's not directly buying your shares, it's contributing by putting work in. So everyone putting the work in means, in my opinion, that everyone should be entitled to have their rewards. So because we want to make sure that everyone gets a decent, reasonable share of rewards and not have someone collect majority of the pools, that's why we have created such a model. And it aligns with the vision of everyone earning together. For example, if you would put lower amounts in the calculator, you would see that, for example, even having 0.2% of the share still gives you very reasonable rewards, and it does not make it that small. And obviously, the more users we have, we anticipate to have lots of users having lower shares than 1%, because if we had 100 users that were burning and everyone would have 1%, sure, it would be very easy to distribute the rewards pool. However, we will have most of the users that have less than 1%, because we do anticipate to have bypass holders in the order of hundreds, not tens like we have right now. So for example, if we would have 200 bypass holders or 240, and you would have, yes, like you input 0.33% of the rewards pool share, you would still have a very much reasonable number compared to someone who has 3%. And if Stephen could showcase that with the calculations here, that would be awesome.
While that's loading as well, so really what's cool about this is obviously this line, there's a point where in this exponential system, you're better off in this kind of a system up until this point. So it gives you an advantage over a linear system here where the smaller holders are benefiting, and then there's a point where the bigger whales aren't benefiting as much as in a linear model. I really like that.
But what is also beautiful is that even those whales can still benefit. The only thing they would have to do is just get a second wallet. And at the same time, this system makes sure that we could have a whale have 10 different wallets with 10 bypasses and not take all the rewards for them. So we can have people that have multiple wallets without taking all the rewards from the other people. So it's not directly protecting from them, it's allowing them to profit together with everyone else, which would not be possible under a linear model. And
gotcha. Wow.
So you see, having 0.33% would still get you $41 daily, assuming 240 holders. Now, if you would have 3%, Yeah, or 3.33. Of course, it's going to be more. It's like 10 times the share, but it will not be 10 times the rewards you get.
Right. So in a linear system, that would be like 410. But obviously now this is an exponential system. It's going to be something a little bit different.
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look what this says. And while that's loading, what I know you mentioned that a lot of thought went into this. I'm curious about the kind of thinking that went behind this as well. I don't know if you're able to kind of like dumb it down in a way that is going to make it easily understandable, but what inspired you to go with this kind of a model versus a linear kind of a model? What kind of like research did you do? What led you to that kind of a conclusion?
So mostly it was the experience of working with Toon Forks before, because they used linear distribution rewards. Like the more share tokens you hold, the more rewards linearly proportional to that you would get. That means the person having the most shares would get significantly more rewards than the others, which makes sense when you have to buy a share to own rewards. In this case, it's not directly buy a share to have rewards. It's everyone having to work together to help us reach PEG by contributing with burns. So this initially went as a vision to start this. And then I was sitting down and thinking which model could we apply that we could also code using Solidity, because Solidity is quite restrictive when it comes to math. However, I'm sorry if I'm going to use some mathematical terms that if someone is interested, feel free to DM me and reach out to me. I will reply questions. But basically, you can expand the exponential function using Taylor series into something that's decently easily manageable to code into Solidity, and at the same time provide the diminishing model over the Burns share, so it aligns with the vision. Then in order to spread out the small contributions that we anticipate to have, we used beta CDF functions that essentially ranks all the users' burns and normalizes them. So we get a spread out between lower contributions. And because we don't anticipate many users to have more than 5% share in the long run, because that's a lot, and we put the upper cap as 40% as well, because at the moment it's pretty straightforward. Buying 40% of the rewards pool at the moment would mean burning 25 million XUSD, and the current highest burner, because you record your burns on the bypasses, actually has below 1 million of burns. So in order to buy that big of a share, user would have to either send 117,000 worth of XUSD to null address and not have the tokens that still have over 200x on them before PEG, or buy 2.3 million worth of XUSD at 500 vibe scores. But that number only to increase in future. While we do know that some people have this buying power, it would be more efficient for them using this system to do that on a couple different wallets. And still, that's a lot of money required. So putting that as an upper cap makes sense in that way. So those normalizations where you see between 0 and 1, 0 stands for 0% of the rewards pool share, and 1 actually here stands for owning 40% of the rewards pools.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
the graph, yes. So at the same time, this model still protects the rest of the users from a few bigger players at the same time, while rewarding those bigger players. Just they would have to have a few wallets.
I like that. I like that because it at the same time addresses two kind of negative points that I've heard about it. That it was just you mentioned Tomb Fork or something like this.
Yes.
Somebody mentioned this in one of the previous streams that I had done addressing XUSD, and then also this idea of big wallet holders getting too much of the power. So a system like this really, while it still allows them to have a rightful amount of power, it nullifies the amount of power they have because of this kind of a system. So what I wanted to ask, so okay. Oh, that's interesting. Did I calculate it? That doesn't look right. It only went up
No, that
by
does look right.
That does look right.
Yes, that's
Oh,
you had $41 dollars a day.
yes.
However, keep in mind that those what you see $12 difference right now, if you spread that over 100 days, that $12 is 1,200.
Gotcha. Okay. But still, I like that. So again, if it was a linear system, it would literally be 10 times the 41.
Correct.
So the power just gets too it gets too centralized. This really, like, it still gives the power of compounding over time, but it's more evenly spread. I like that. I really like that. So I'm just going to put this in just for, like, just let's put 33%. I'm just curious now just to see these numbers. And in terms of the burning, what are some of the ways that we can burn? So obviously, to my understanding, burning was the burning that happened in the trading. So the selling and the buying, there's some burning that happens there. You also mentioned sending tokens to the dead address. So the 369 address, does that calculate towards burning?
Well, I would have to correct you here because it's not the 369 address, it's the 0x00 only zeros. So that's the null
Ah,
address.
okay.
And
Okay.
I mean, technically, you could do that, but I would not recommend people to be doing that as of yet because we are planning to uh, put some raffles in and some ways you can just simply burn XUSD by participating in some games on our site. But we will put more focus on that after the minting protocol is live because this is a higher priority for us right now. So for people that know that they will want to burn a certain amount of tokens, I would personally hold on to them until we incentivize those raffles and gamifying ways to burn XUSD and send them to the dead address. But that certainly is an option that you can send the tokens to the null address, and it will count towards your burns.
Okay, gotcha. So that would be good once all the information's on the website. See, now this can't be right. 50, or would it be 54? 33%?
Yes, it's like $2 higher. However, keep in mind that this is very significant amount of XUSD burned. Like it's 33% burned essentially is like burning 40 million XUSD.
So you're burning heaps. The last number was 54 though, wasn't it?
53.
Ah, okay. All right. So that's interesting. So there's kind of a point there where it's like,
Basically anything over 5%. I would personally say that it's not worth to accumulate more than 5% of
gotcha.
the burns on one wallet.
Oh, that's great. Okay. In one wallet. So that's where you're saying you can game it by having multiple wallets and doing 5% across multiple wallets. Okay, got you. That's interesting. I like that. Again, because it kind of it allows more people to really get involved in it. So there's not someone who's just like a mega whale. Yeah, they can make multiple wallets, but there's no mega whale which can, like, really megally dominate the system. That's what that to
I
me
mean, they
seems
can. That's the beauty of it. They can, but that will not mean that other people suffer because of that.
Gotcha. This is a good point, Marcus. And Stu, we'll get to this question in just a minute. If you want to just clarify what you mean by involved. So Stu's asking, I do have a question. Do you guys see the Pulse Hex ecosystem involved in the new financial system? If so, how? So if you want to just clarify what you mean by the new financial system, and I'm sure we'll get to that question. So yeah, I'll be curious now. Let's have a look at some of these numbers now with what do you guys estimate when we get to peg? Let's say everything. I'm sure you might have done this, John. You might have in your mind got some rough numbers about what we'd be looking at in the future. Pulse chains bustling. We're at $1. It's heading towards the end of the bull market. What kind of daily volume are you sort of anticipating in this system?
I would anticipate up to 100 million.
Daily
I would
volume?
think. Yep.
Wow. Okay, let's have a look. So let's do those numbers again because I will be very curious. So what did we start with? So let's start with we had 0.333, and then we'll do 3.33 because obviously, yeah, once the volume goes up as well, that's going to ramp things up a lot differently as well. So,
and this would be like volume once Pulse Chain takes over Ethereum kind of stuff.
gotcha. Solana, John, let's think bigger.
Oh, I don't even think about Solana. It's a broken chain.
You think Solana, yeah, as from a dev point of view, do like even because honestly, like sometimes when I see people tweet about that, I'm just like, oh, it's down like every few months, and I'm like, well, it's kind of a consequence of its popularity, or is it really just like it can be fixed? Like, what's your opinion on that? Just out of curiosity.
I think it's a mixture of both. For one, they use a different program for their smart contracts, or a different language. They use Rust, which Rust in itself is actually a pretty good language. I don't know it personally. I do want to learn it because it is very fast. But the problem with that would be the fact that you're fracturing a smart contract language into multiple different languages. Whereas if you don't want to reinvent the wheel when it's coming to programming languages. If one's already doing good, fracturing it and making a different language confuses the population of people trying to learn how to do it. And then it creates a fracture, essentially. So it's not the best practice to do that. And, they should have just stuck with Solidity. And there's other different forms of Solidity as well, like Yule and Huff language, but that's a different story. But also, like, the chain does go down quite easily. It happened like the other week, and the biggest problem because of that is that there's a lot of centralized nodes. For like most of the nodes are controlled by the foundation itself and not just everyday people. I'm pretty sure, so they can essentially just turn it off and on whenever they please, and that's not decentralized.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of self-evident in its dev community, which doesn't really seem that thriving, given that most of the stuff on there is just memes. So, okay, so if we have a look at this number, so this is the 0.333, so that's you're getting 4,142. So now let's have a look at that with 3.33.